Mathew Knowles, the father of Beyonce, had this to say about the music industry. Check this out.
The music industry is a 1% success rate. To get into the NBA, NFL, baseball, it's 1%. Give you an idea, 37,000 albums we make a year, 370 are profitable. So if that's what you want to do, you better be practicing. But you can't practice and give it your all unless you're passionate about it. Because what coexists with passion? Work ethics coexists with passion. You know, I always say, you can maybe outsmart me, but you're not going to outwork me.
Man, that is some powerful stuff right there. Powerful stuff right there. And I think a lot of people need to hear it, because I think a lot of people are delusional when it comes to being an artist or being a producer or being a manager or being whatever in this music industry. 1%. And that is very, very, very true. Only 1% of the music is profitable. And I've heard this over the years. I remember one time I went into like a small get together, and I was talking to an A&R. This had to be like around 2016. And I was like, yeah, man, you know, because only like maybe 5% of the stuff in the building is like profitable. He said 5%. And I was like, oh, snap. I said a low number. I was like, well, you know, everybody in here is making money. It's like everybody driving nice cars, everybody doing good. He said 5%. He says no. He said maybe 1%. I said, and he put maybe in front of it. I'm like, maybe 1%. I'm like, how is maybe 1% doing all of this? And he was like, you got to think of all the years of all those 1%ers that are making money that is keeping the building alive. Because right now, if a record company owns the masters of the top 1% of albums and singles, yes, they're going to make a ton of money because they own the masters of it. See, that's why a lot of people preach about being independent, because you own the master. The master is the key, especially for a huge record. If you have a huge record, the master is the key. I'm talking about a timeless record. I'm talking about, you know, a record that's going 10 times platinum, 6, 7, 8 times platinum. Those type of records keep the buildings open. It keeps the record industries going. It keeps them, you know, continue to sign new artists and take chances on new artists. But only 1% makes it. And it's crazy because a lot of people think, when I get my deal and when I get signed, everything's going to be perfect. Everything's going to work right. And no, it's not. Like, even whenever I have artists that are about to go and sign any type of major deal, I always tell them, listen, use this opportunity to learn. Use this opportunity to grow your fan base. Because one thing that is going to happen is when you do sign this deal, you're going to grow a bigger fan base at least. I don't know how much money you're going to make. I don't know what's going to happen out this situation in 2 years. But you're at least going to grow a fan base and stay engaged with that fan base from now until the end. That's why I say every single time we ever got to the signing table. Also, what I said was, it's time to work. Like, this is the time where you have to work the most. People think just because you get signed, the record label is going to take care of everything. No, the record label is going to do what they know what has worked before. That's what they're going to do. They're going to use the resources that they use on other projects that are similar to yours on yours. Whether it's a single, whether it's an album, whether it's an EP. They're not the ones that's going to be out here with teams of people everywhere just whispering in people's ears, hey, you know, such and such is an artist with us. Hey, come check this out. Or being, you know, or having their feet on the ground and really doing promotions like that. No, they're going to service the record the way that they know how to service it. So you still have to move somewhat like an independent artist when you're inside of these labels. Now, you might not be able to drop songs and albums like the way you want to. You can't just drop a song every single week with the record company. They're gonna be like, nah, we're not doing that. We're gonna drop this single. We're gonna see how much we can make off of it. And then once we get to the end of that, then we'll work on something else. But for right now, you just hold on. Let us just do what we do. This is why you want to sign to us, okay? Let us just do what we do. We gave you a little bit of money to be straight. Let us just do what we do. And then, oh yeah, here goes a few songs for you to record, because just in case this song does take off, how about you record a few of these songs right here that we have for you and that we believe in, that if you do these songs, then we can turn around and then we can use these songs for your next single or whatever else. That's how it usually is. So when you come into these situations, it is totally different than the mindset of what most people think about, signing to an actual label. Because at the end of the day, they know that a lot of the artists that they sign are not going to be profitable. It's not. And it's happened for years. It's happened before the digital age. It's happened during records. It's happened during tapes. It's happened during every form and every format throughout the years. Even when they didn't have formats to capture the audio on there like that, when they would just do live shows and people would sign to certain people, that's how it was. So it doesn't matter if streaming was around or not. You still had artists who failed, and most of the artists failed back then. And then you had some artists who came out of that. And to be fair, I'm going to be totally fair, most labels, depending on when they brought you in, I don't care if it was the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, the 2020s, or whatever, depending on when they brought you in, every artist pretty much had the same shot. They had the same type of budget. They had the same type of everything. Now, it was a little bit different back in the day because a lot of times people had to believe in you. They had to say, oh, that person is talented. They just need the resources. And then back then, what people don't know is they would dump a lot of resources in it, in these artists back then, because they didn't have home studios back then. They didn't have a ton of producers and musicians back then just sending in music and stuff like that. So back then you had to spend a little bit more, because you got to think everything was recorded on analog. It took longer to record. It took a lot of people to record. So yes, you had to spend more. But now, since we have ways where you can record at the house, you only need one engineer, or you can just produce it yourself or do certain things. Yes, the budgets have been slashed. But at the end of the day, the way that they still promote these people are still the exact same way. And some make it and some don't. That's why, regardless of whatever's your situation that you truly think you need to believe that you want to be in, so far as like being in a independent situation, or if you're trying to be in a major situation, you still have to work. Now, is it guaranteed that situation is going to work out for you? No, it's not. But if this is your passion to become somebody popular, rich, famous, or just being successful in this industry, you're going to have to work, and you're going to have a good work ethic in whatever that you do. I don't care if you're on a job. I don't care if you have your own business. I don't care what's going on. Your work ethic has to be impeccable for you to become successful in whatever it is. I don't care if it's the music industry or if you're trying to learn how to build houses or whatever. Your work ethic has to be impeccable. And that's why he said, you might outsmart me, but you're not going to outwork me. And that is very true. The people who put down a plan, follow a goal, stay on that path, and put their time and effort into their passion, because a lot of people say, oh, music is my passion. I love music. I love this. I love that. But then a lot of times you'll find out these people only record a song every 2 months. But music is your passion. And, oh, everybody's hating on me. That's the reason why my music career didn't blow up, because people are not looking at me and they're giving these other people opportunities. But these other people are doing 5 and 6 songs a night and putting out a song every 2 weeks because they're trying to build up a catalog and build up an audience. They're in the studio all the time. If they're not doing work or if they're not doing what they need to do outside of work, they're inside of the studio, they're working. That's what real passion is, because passion is something that you love to do, even if you do not get paid to do it. That's why some of the ones who are the most determined, if you think about all these people who are super successful, if you go back and look at their history, they were the ones who was on all these TV shows, all these talent shows, appearances here, singing the Star Spangled Banner here, going here and performing in what I call the Chitlin circuit, where they're performing at small clubs, performing just about anywhere they can perform at. They went and they did it. And they didn't complain about it. They went through the trials and tribulations with it, and they just kept forging on. Because a lot of people think these artists just pop out of nowhere, but a lot of these people are the type that used to perform on the side of the street. These people would perform anywhere. They would show their talent to anybody. If they'll get they'll like have people from the news. They'll do shows at like certain like local news places, and they'll do performances there. They'll be singing in church. They'll sing at high school games. They'll do it talent shows at high schools. They'll do all of this stuff to try to become as successful as possible. And if you look at some of the most successful artists out right now, if you look at all of them and look at their prehistory before they got to where they're at right now, look at all the stuff they did before. They hustled their way to this point. Now, some of them look totally different. Their whole attitudes have changed. Everything is different, but they outworked everybody else, and they were determined to get where they're at right now. Okay. So at the end of the day, people can talk, people can say, oh yeah, I tried, but the music thing ain't worked for me, this, that, whatever. I had a job, I had this, I had that. If it's your passion to do something, and it's your real passion to do something, you would do whatever it takes to at least try to give that 100% maximum effort and try to get to where you want to be in this music industry or whatever industry you're in. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to hustle and you're going to have to put in the work.